Hey guys, Carl from Purple Misplaced. Today I'm taking a look at Scream Park from designer Jasper, Beatrix, and publisher DVC Games. This is a publisher that I'd never heard of before, and I was lucky enough to sort of stumble upon them as I was wandering the halls of PAX Unplugged, and I found their booth and they had a bunch of these sort of smaller box games. This one here, Scream Park. Another one that I'm going to be taking a look at later called Typeset, which is a sort of push your luck spelling kind of game. But this one in particular is a closed drafting game, a la games like Seven Wonders or Sushi Go, and I tend to be a fan of those mechanisms, and more importantly, that's something that's not necessarily designed to be played solo, so I'm always curious to see how these companies come up with different ways for those drafting games to be a solo game. But with that said, this is a drafting game where you're drafting cards, trying to sort of build out a haunted house attraction, developing different scenes and drafting different features to put into those scenes, ultimately to score points and to have sort of VIPs visit your attraction, scoring more points for that as well along the way. Disclaimer, I was given a review copy of this game for this video, but as always, I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how this one plays solo, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a game of Scream Park, begin by placing out the cloth mat board on the table. Like that. Next, I'm going to take my player pieces for this game. I will be playing as green just because the purple, which I would normally play with, won't stand out so well against the purple table. My star marker goes here on the score track. And then I'm going to take this scoring and icon sort of player aid that goes here on the table, as well as a theme card. We're going to take all of the theme cards, shuffle them up, and we're going to draw two theme cards, keeping one of them to play with for this play. So I will draw, and I've got Castle Grim and the Twisted Wasteland. Castle Grim being themed off of lore and mystery, and the Twisted Wasteland being themed off of gore and sci-fi. Yeah, let's go gore sci-fi. All right, so that card will go there. Actually, you know what? Let's do it this way to save some space. That card can go there. This guy will go right on top of my theme card. Then to set up the board, we're going to place all of these genre cards here in this area. They don't need to be shuffled because I can go through them and take them as needed while I play. Take this giant stack of scene cards, giving those a great shuffle. Placing those right there like that. All of these staff tokens, which are these little white meeple guys, get placed here in the middle of the board. And then up here, we're going to shuffle and draw 3 VIP cards for the 3 rounds or the 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this game. We've got the police chief, a birthday party, and the haunt brat. And with that, we are all set up for gameplay. So a game of Scream Park will play out over a series of 3 rounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And normally in a multiplayer game, each player would be dealt 8 cards, and it's going to be a closed drafting game. So you'd be playing 2 cards from your hand, and then passing your cards either clockwise or counterclockwise as shown on the mat. But because this is a solo mode, there is no other player, so that kind of draft isn't going to work. So the way that it works in a solo mode is I will be playing 4 turns per round, and each turn will be a decreasing number of cards. So first I'm going to draw 8 cards, choosing 2. Then I'm going to draw 6 cards, choosing 2. Then 4 cards, choosing 2. And then finally 2 cards that I have to take. And I think I'm going to go ahead and play the first round as I teach you so that you can see the cards that are coming out and see how I deal with them and what I can do with them. But also, I need to start with 2 staff in my employ that I can use for cards. So let's go ahead and draw 8 scene cards. I think they should fit right here along the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, like that. And from these cards, I need to choose 2 cards to add to my tableau. Now, every card is going to have a top and a bottom piece. So let me show you this first card as a start. The top of your card is going to be a new scene in your haunted attraction. And the bottom is going to be the first sort of piece of that sort of feature of that scene. So the scenes are going to show a variety of different diamonds representing different kinds of genres of scare or of horror, which in this case I believe is creepy, gore, and then oh no, that's a sci-fi and that is a mystery. So creepy, gore, mystery, sci-fi. Looks like the Saw Trap to me. And then down at the bottom, these red icons are going to be sort of icons that fulfill the categories above. So I need to make sure by the end of the game that I have cards lined up underneath here that fulfill these 4 different categories that are required. And if I do at the end of the game, I will score that many points. Also, some cards will have this little white meeple symbol on them, which means in order for me to play this card, I need to be able to have one staff member staffing that attraction, which you can see, obviously, an angry torturer requires somebody to be in that room as an angry torturer. So when I take cards, after I've drafted 2 cards, I'm going to slot them into my tableau. And I can either place a card as a new scene, or I can slide it under a previous scene as a new feature of a previously placed scene. The only rule when I'm placing a new scene is that the scene must be of equal or higher value than the previous placed scene. So if I place this 6 right now, these 2s and these 4s will never be able to be placed as scenes because they will never be equal to or greater than that 6. That said, you can always spend 1 staff placing them back into the supply in order to place a card anywhere you'd like to in your tableau, meaning you could slot between cards or before cards so that you can place those other values. It's just going to cost you 1 staff. When sliding under a card, there are no rules except that you need to be able to pay for any staff that are required in those new features. In addition, if you decide that you don't like the card and you don't want to add it to your tableau, you can discard 1 scene card to take 2 staff, or you can discard both cards to take 1 of these genre cards. And these genre cards are going to be basically a feature that gets slotted into a scene. You can see they are all different genres. You're going to pick one and you'll slot in just that genre into the scene. So basically you're just adding that additional icon to fulfill the requirements of that particular scene. The other thing you should see is that some of these cards have a lightning bolt at the bottom, and that just means when that card is played either as a new scene or as simply a feature, you will get whatever the ability is there instantly. This times 2 means it will double one of the other icons that have been placed into that scene. This X right here will negate a requirement from the top of that scene that this is in. You will also see, as you can see on the back here, there's some other icons you might get. This one here is going to make sure that a VIP can always enter that scene, and I'll explain what that means in just a second. And this symbol here means when that scene is placed either as a scene or as a feature, you will get 1 staff meeple. So why are we doing all of these things? Well, I already mentioned that if you can fulfill all of the conditions of a scene with the features in that scene, you will score the points for that scene. But also, we're going to be scoring a variety of other things. First, at the end of each round, we're going to check to see every scene if it has the themes from my theme card. So if that scene has any gore, I will score 1 point. And if that scene has any sci-fi, I will score 1 point. So I can score up to 2 points for every scene that has gore and or sci-fi. Then the next thing here says 2 per scene the VIP has entered. So as we build scenes like this, at the end of each round, we're going to check the VIP for that round, which right now says the police chief will advance if the next scene has any lightning bolts. In this case, this scene has no lightning bolts. So even if I had a scene here that does have a lightning bolt, this VIP will not make it to this scene because this scene has no lightning bolts. But if this scene was here first, like that, he would proceed to that location and I would score 2 points. If, for example, we had 2 scenes like this and a third scene that doesn't have a lightning bolt, he would proceed to that spot, and I would score 2 points for each of those scenes. Then at the end of the game, well, first off, at the beginning of every round, that resets because his progression will depend on the next VIP sort of goal or VIP condition for the next round. But then at the end of the game, as I said, we are going to be scoring the completed scenes, but also whoever has the most lightning bolts in their scene will score 3 points. And the way that works in solo is at the end of every round, I will draw 3 cards from the scene, and any lightning bolts in there will become sort of the game's lightning bolts, and that's the value that I'm competing against. Then we will score 1 point per staffing icon on the card. So however many staff we have in our attraction, we will get 1 point. And finally, 6 points per set of scenic symbols. And that means that there are several different types of these scenic symbols. So some kind of sort of creepy audio, some kind of death, some kind of lighting attraction, and I don't know what this is, spooky lighting of some kind. But for each set of all 4 of these icons you have in your attraction, total, you will score 6 points. So that's basically all there is. It does sound a little bit more complicated than it actually ends up being once we get into play. So hopefully now, as I get into gameplay, anything that doesn't quite make sense will start to make better sense. But for right now, I'm looking at the VIP, needs lightning to advance. Birthday party will advance if the next scene has 2 of a specific condition at the bottom, of any condition, but 2 of the same, at least. And the Haunt Brat will advance if the next scene has 2 additional unnecessary feature symbols at the bottom. So I'm kind of aiming to get all of those so I can get the VIP as far as I need to. And I should mention before I get into it that the way that I win the solo mode is by scoring more than 80 points. It means I have to completely lap this score track in order to win the game. All right. Then I'm also looking for gore and sci-fi. Okay, then let's do it. I want a 4. No, there's no 4 that needs gore. I guess I'll take the 2. I don't like it. I don't like it. All right, well, I'm going to take this padded room because the padded room has confused drawings. It needs gore and mystery. It already has the mystery. So if I take this hack/arena, that goes there, which is good for me because the lightning means the VIP will go there, and the gore means I will score a point from that. So these all get discarded. And we draw 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, this is already done because it's got the gore and mystery, so I don't need to worry about that anymore. Gore and sci-fi is perfect for me. It's already got a sci-fi. I can get a gore from here, but that's a candelabra just like I have already. I kind of want to put this lightning bolt in there anyway to start working on unnecessary stuff. Plus it's a lightning, gets the VIP. Yeah, let's do it. That goes there with that slotted underneath. It doesn't help because it doesn't need any lore in the organ storeroom, but a pulsing blob makes sense to me in an organ storeroom. I've got glowing jars with a pulsing blob, and that also gets me one of those guys. Cool, we draw 4 more. Like that. 2, 2, 2, and 6 is not great unless I want to put the 6 out or use a staff to slot something in. Gore and Sci-Fi 6 looks nice though. And it automatically, this is the one I was showing before, the VIP will always enter this room automatically. If I slot that here, it's a waste of a lightning bolt. No, I'm putting that there. I think that might be a mistake for right now, but I'm putting that there. It needs a gore and 2 sci-fi. It doesn't have anything. I could take the bloody handprints and put them in there. What else do I need? Yeah, nothing else works. All right, then I am going to do that. Put that there. like that. Bloody handprints and moving walls in the swirling hallways. And the last two cards I'm required to take: Evacuated Office and the Misty Dock. The Misty Dock's got a lot of gore in there. This lore is useless to me right now. So I'm going to spend one staff to slot the Misty Dock in between there. Like that. No I'm not. No I'm not, no I'm not. Because if I do that, the VIP stops. That's only 2 points. And that completes my, no it doesn't, but it's closer to completing my full set of those. Thematically it scores me a point. So I'm losing 2 points but gaining a point. Yeah, let's do it anyway. That one goes there, like that. I'm discarding that one so I can take 2 more staff because I don't need it for anything. Then we draw 3 cards. Ooh, 1, 2, that's not good. Wow, 3 lightning for the opponent already. That's a problem, but we already have 3 too, so that's still even. Now scoring, I'm looking for gore and sci-fi. Gore, sci-fi, gore, gore. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Then the VIP goes here and here. Can't get there because there's no lightning, so that's another 4 points to get to 8. Friday is done. We move into Saturday. So again, drawing 8 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, I need to have doubles of something in each room for this to count. Well, I need double gore here anyway if I can get there. This has already got doubles of something because that's doubled. So that's finished. Except I'm going to need one more something for him next time. This needs a double knifey knife. This one also needs another knife, so I'm going to take that one to put in there. A missing sound. None of them have sound. They're all full of books that I don't need. There's a double green that'll fit in there, completing that real nicely. Okay. So that's going to go in there. And I need the 2 knives for that anyway, and now that's double for this. This one slots in, which is great because it needs 2 there, and there's 2 there, so that's great. The knife and knife is good, so that's done. These go away. I need to spend a staff person to be the defective robot in my swirling hallways. Drawing 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, like that. All right, I'd like to get more rooms out, or more scenes out. 4s would be nice, although a 6, ooh, gore and sci-fi. I think I might take that. And then work on getting other scores going on. What do I need? This is done. 2 knives and a gore. It means I need 2 knives there, but I don't even have any of those. Here I've got 2 knives. I need a candle, which I don't have any of, unless I put the ceiling harness in there, because that would cancel one something. None of them have sound. This is science, needs another science. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to place that there with the awful lighting as another science there. That gets me 1 more of these guys. Drawing 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Still no sounds. I need this for that one. It's going to give me a double sci-fi. Gets me 1 gore towards the gore of that. Here I need a candle. No. Here I need 2 gore. No. This is an auto pass. But I don't need it anymore. If I put that there, they all pass. But you know what? I think I might take the auto pass here No, because then it's going to pass anyway. Yeah, I'm going to take the auto pass here. Yeah, because if I take the auto pass here, they don't need to have 6 icons here. That will be worth it. Okay. So this slots in. I do need to staff my dirty mercenary. This slots in. That's an auto pass for my VIP. All right, then we draw our last 2 cards that I must keep, and that's a candle, yay! With an auto pass even yayer. This Mad Scientist Lab, I don't think I need at all, but this slots in there because the Infinity Mirrors means it's an auto pass. It gives me the candle I need for the Misty Duck. This gets discarded for 2 more staff, which I don't really need, but we'll see what happens. All right, then, scoring. Again, gore and sci-fi. That's gore is 1. Gore and sci-fi is 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Here I've got a gore, no sci-fi is 1 more. Here I've got a gore and a sci-fi, 1, 2. Here I've got just sci-fi, 1 more. And VIP should have reset. This one has ×2 candles, so that's safe. This one has sci-fi, sci-fi, that's safe. This one has gore, gore, that's safe, and it's an auto pass. This one has sci-fi, sci-fi, that's safe. And this one's an auto pass, plus it has double sci-fi. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 goes to 25. That resets. This goes bye-bye, and we're looking at our Haunt Brat, which says we need advance if the next scene has 2 or more unnecessary shapes, which this one needs 1 more to be true. This one needs another gore, but has a sci-fi and a book, so that's true. That's an auto pass. This one needs 1 more. So these 2 both need 1 more. That's an auto pass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 like that. I also need, I've got light bulb, 3 candelabras. Another skull and 2 sounds would be awesome. There's lots of those things here. Put anything in there. I love a sci-fi in there, but there isn't one. Where's the one that doesn't have this one? Doesn't have any gore in it. But something needed gore, I thought. Yeah, this one needs a gore. There's no gore with a soundy thing. All right, so I'm going to do that to get a skull and a gore. So this is done and passes the test. And yeah, I'm just going to take a random nothing because that'll give me a sound working towards the combined thing. Yeah. Now I have 2 additional things I don't need and a sound. That's great. Go. Hold on a minute. I got to pause. I forgot to draw 3 cards. I would have been from that hand, but let's draw 3 here. They get 2 more lightning in there. They've got 5 so far. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm good so far. All right, drawing 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 more sound would be nice, but there aren't any. Candle, candle, sci-fi. I could put that in there. Yeah, let's do that. All right, I'm going to spend 1 staff to move these down. Let's leave a little extra space in case I decide to do it again. That slot's there. And then I'm going to stick a captive werewolf in there because the strobe light is my sci-fi and double candles makes the lighthouse room, and the werewolf needs a person in a costume. Those go away. Drawing 4 more. 1, 2, come on, sound. 3, no more sound. Then I need 1 more something yucky in there just so the VIP can go through. And there's no gore in there yet, so I'm going to add a gore there. plus a staff member. And then we're going to do our best to squeeze in one more room. Because I think we can make it work. For scoring, I mean. Get it right up to the edge of the screen on camera. Because now I will place this room of eyes right there. Yes. Which also takes a person as a tentacled being. Those go away. We draw 2 cards that we have to keep. And no sound, that's sad. Okay. Then, let me make sure everything works. Here I've got creep and mystery, gore and mystery, times 2 of that counts for him. Here, I've got gore, sci-fi and books counts for him. I've got gore, mystery, auto pass. I've got, well, this needs another mystery. That was almost dangerous. Mystery, sci-fi, with a book and a gore extra. Okay, that works. That slots in. Then here, I'm going to fail it, but that's okay. If I put this there, I'm not going to score because it's not complete, but it does fulfill my VIP because I needed 2 mystery and a sci-fi. Sci-fi, creepy, and gore are extras, so he'll pass that. Then here is automatic, here is automatic. But this has gore and 2 sci-fi. Good. This is missing 2 gore. So I don't score that 6. But that is that, and we go into our final scoring. So first things first, theme for scenes. That's a gore, 1. That's got sci-fi and gore, 1, 2. This has gore, that's 1. This has sci-fi and gore, that's 2. This has sci-fi and gore, that's 2. This one has sci-fi and gore, that's 2. This one has only sci-fi for 1. Then VIP goes here because it does have 2 creep it doesn't need. Yay. Then VIP goes here because it does have a book and an extra sci-fi. Then VIP goes into the Misty Docks because it's an auto pass. This one, yeah, book and sci-fi, book and gore is extra. This one, I only need 1 sci-fi, so 1 sci-fi and both of those are extra. That's an auto pass. That's an auto pass. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 means 40 and 10 is 50. And now end of game, but first we need to draw 3 more cards. 1, 2, 3 for them. None of those have lightning. So first, scoring the completed scenes. We've got a padded room that have confused drawings, a rigged chainsaw, and dripping water, which is going to score because I've got the gore and the mystery. That's 2 points. 1, 2. The organ storeroom containing glowing jars, a pulsing blob, a dirty mercenary, and dangling bodies. Definitely scores with 2 gore and a sci-fi. That's 4, up to 56. The Misty Dock, containing gutted fish, bone pits, and infinity mirrors, does score with 2 gore and a mystery. So that's another 4, up to 60. The lighthouse room with a strobe light, a captive werewolf, a falling guillotine, and warning signs does score with 2 mystery from that double plus a sci-fi. For 4 is 64. The room of eyes containing the tentacled being and the murderous mascot does not score because I don't have any mystery. The swirling hallways with moving walls, bloody handprints, and a defective robot does score with double sci-fi and a gore for 6, up to 70. This one, the Marauder Fort containing rolling oil drums, awful lighting, and laser mist, will not score because there's no gore in there. So that's that for that. I have the most lightning, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They only had 5, so I score 3 points to 73. Staffing icon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 78. And then 6 per set of scenic symbols. I've got 3 candelabras. I've got, no, 4 candelabras, 2 skulls, 2 light bulbs, but only 1 sound effect. So I only score that once, but that is 60, no, 6, not 60, 6 points plus 78. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scores me 84 points. So I do pull off a win, clearing the threshold by 4 points. So while I'm down here, I do like to take a look at the components. First things first, love the look of this game. The illustrations are both creepy and gory, but also super cutesy and kind of cartoony in a way. I don't know. I think it's really, really, really cool. I love how these sort of scenes play out. It gives you a scene with all of the different features, and because you're trying to match symbols in the scene and the features, everything sort of thematically works, and you come up with these really crazy rooms in this haunted house that you are developing. And I think it looks really cool, and it's fun to read through as I did as I was scoring, while scoring at the end of the game. Really, really, really thematic. There are tons and tons and tons of these cards, and they're all unique and really, really, really creative and clever, and I love the theming of this game. The meeples are just standard meeples, super tiny and super big and chunky, but nice, hefty wooden components, which I do appreciate. Card quality is very nice, definitely has a nice linen finish on them. Good, strong cards. These sort of half cards, not even half cards, like 3/4 cards, are a little bit skinny and a little bit annoying, but I don't mind them, and it does mean that I can have this super long tableau on my table and it doesn't take up a ton of space. So I think there's a reason for it, and I'll show you another reason that I really like it in just a minute. But again, it fits very nicely on the table by making them these skinny cards, and realistically it doesn't bother me too much. It just feels a little bit strange working with them, especially when shuffling this super huge deck of cards. It makes it a little bit awkward, but it's not terrible. Then, this play mat is a cloth mat, which is nice because it folds up to fit inside the box very nicely. But because of the way that it's made, the folds don't sort of stick out as folds. It still lays pretty nicely, even though it folds up into the box. I think this is really cool, and I'll show you why right now I think this is really cool. And that's because I'm skipping ahead of myself, because I do want to come back to the theme and VIP cards. But the game comes in this tiny little box that does have, I don't know if you just heard that, but it's got a very nice clicky magnetic clasp. Super small box with lots of cards, a full board in there. And that's the upside to having this foldable cloth mat, because it can fold up and it fits perfectly inside that box. So you can have a fairly large board coming out of a very small box, and I appreciate that safe sort of space-saving size on my shelf. With all of the games that I have, this fits in very, very nicely, being as small as it is. The magnetic clasp is really cool. Having a sort of player aid run through on the box itself is pretty cool. Now, the only other thing I want to show you is the other VIPs, and I'll run you through the other themes that you didn't get to see as well, just because they're fun. We've got Castle Grim, which you saw already, was lore and mystery. Lair of the Torture Puppet, creepy gore. Cirque de Macabre, which is creepy mystery. Outpost 15, lore and sci-fi. Camp Raven Lake, gore and mystery. The Infinite Nightmare, which is mystery and sci-fi. Manor of 1,000 Ghosts, creepy and lore. Sanguine Cathedral, gore and lore. Abduction Junction, creepy sci-fi. That's all of those. And then we'll take a look at the other VIPs, because there are quite a few of them in here. We've got the review blogger that advances if the next scene is completed. The secret shopper advances if the next scene has any staff in it. The local celebrity advancing if the next scene fulfills your whole theme, means it needs to match both of your theme categories. The town board member that advances if the next scene has 3 or more different types of sort of feature styles in them. The news crew that advances if the next scene has 3 or more cards in it. And the fire marshal who advances if the next scene is incomplete. So that's cool at the beginning of the game. The new investor advances if the next scene has any of those special symbols on it. And I think, yeah, that is all of those. So that's basically all I've got to say for the components and the box. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. So, Scream Park from DVC Games. This is a game that I had heard nothing about and simply stumbled upon at PAX Unplugged. And I have to say that I'm pretty pleasantly surprised with this game. And I'm very happy that I did stumble upon it because it is quite a bit of fun. First off, thematically, while I'm not generally a fan of haunted houses because I have this sort of weak nerves about jump scare kind of stuff, I do tend to be a very big fan of horror themes and horror movies and horror sort of tropes. So the sort of theme of building out a haunted attraction with different scenes and filling out each of those different scenes with different kinds of features that thematically tie in really does work very well for me. And also it works very well as a card drafting game because generally in a card drafting game, you're obviously drafting cards to collect to do something, and most of the time it's sort of a set collection kind of game, and there's definitely some of that here, but it's fun then that the sets are sort of building out these different rooms or different scenes in some kind of haunted attraction, and I do really enjoy that. But mechanically this game also does quite a bit for me. It is a very simple game. It is a quick closed draft card game, something like Sushi Go, not much heavier as far as how the game plays, but there are quite a few more sort of levels of thinking and levels of planning and levels of both strategic and tactical decision making in this game that I do really appreciate. And actually, I think the more that I play this game, the more I sort of pick up on the little nuances that come out in this game. So basically on your turn, you're drafting cards, and then you're placing those cards either as new scenes in your attraction or features that are added into the scenes of your attraction, with the sort of overall goal of having as many scenes as possible that are complete, because you're going to score points based on the scene or the scenes that are completely finished or have all of the sort of required features in them by the end of the game. And what that means is you have to pay attention to which cards you're taking as scenes because you're going to need a variety of different sort of categories of features in a number of each of those in each of those scenes before the end of the game. So you need to make sure you have enough time to get all the things you need, but also you want to have as many of these scenes as possible that are completed so that you can score as many of them as possible. So it does make for an interesting twist on how do I play the card either as a scene or as a feature, but then on top of that, when you're planning scenes, there are 2-point, 4-point, and 6-point scenes, and it's not about always picking the higher valued points for several reasons. The first one is because the bigger ones require more features in them, so it's less and less likely that you will be able to finish that many big scenes by the end of the game. But then on top of that, there's this sort of twist in the rules that a scene may only be added to your attraction if it is higher in value or equal in value to the one that was placed just before it, sort of in a row from left to right. So that means if I start with a big attraction of a 6-point attraction, I can only place out 6s from that point on unless we break the rules. And the way that we break the rules is by spending staff. So it's worth talking a little bit about staff because staff is interesting for several reasons. One, because as I said, you can spend the staff to slot into the wrong location or into a sort of in-between location with a new scene. But then also some of the scenes and features will require you to have staff to staff those features. If you're going to have somebody in a costume in that scene, you're going to have staff to dress up and take on that scene. But also those staff will be worth 1 point each at the end of the game. And you start with 2 of them, and you only have 2 of them unless you find other ways to get them. And the way that you're going to get them mostly is either by playing a scene or feature card that happens to have a sort of lightning bolt symbol that says add 1 staff member, or you can always sacrifice a card, discarding it rather than placing it into your attraction to take 2 staff members into your hand. So there's this little bit of balance with, do I need staff to do things later on to make sure that I can place out some of those better features that do require staffing, or to make sure that I have the ability to slot cards in where needed to, or can I sort of follow the pattern of increasing numbers automatically without dealing with this random slotting in, and maybe pick up scenes and features that don't require staff, and then I don't have to discard other cards in order to get those staff, or take cards that are getting me staff rather than getting me points in some other way. So that adds another little wrinkle to the game. Then there's the different kinds of, I don't really know what to call them, sort of special effects. There's the candelabra, there's the skull, there's the audio, and there's lighting. And those different effects, at the end of the game, you're going to score points based on sets of those. So if you have one of each of those 4 things, you're going to score 6 points, which is quite big when you're aiming for, say, around a score of 80 for the win in the solo game. So then you're focused on not only putting together the scenes that you need and getting the right features for them, but when you're looking at those scenes and looking at those features, you also sort of want to diversify those 4 different sort of special effect icons as well in each of your scenes, so that you can hopefully get some of those sort of bigger set collection value points at the end of the game as well. And this is all sort of end game long-term planning. And there's also a one little twisted way that you can sort of work to get even more stuff. And I'm sorry, I haven't ever played with it in the game, because luckily I've been dealt the right kind of cards that I didn't need to deal with it. And so if I get this rule slightly wrong, I will fix it below in the subtitles, because I don't remember it exactly right now as I'm talking to you, and I don't want to cut and come back right now. But I think you discard both of the cards that you got in a round to take one of these sort of feature cards. I don't remember what they're called exactly, but they're sort of, you can choose one feature of any type, meaning one icon of any type, to slot in as a feature in any of your scenes. So if the wrong cards are coming out, or the cards that you really need are not coming out, you can instead get one of those cards to make sure that you get an icon that matches your scene if you have a really high scoring scene that you need to finish before the end of the game. But anyway, these are all of the things that you need to accomplish before the end of the game. But if that was it, it would still be a fun game, but that's not it at all, because you are playing 3 rounds or 3 days here, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, over a weekend, and each day or each round is also going to have scoring for the round. And this is where things get even more interesting. Because first off, your haunted attraction is going to have some kind of theme, and that kind of theme is going to sort of give you 2 classes of features that you want to have the most of, or have lots of, in your attraction. So for example, if you have a sort of sci-fi gory kind of haunted house, you want to have lots of sci-fi elements and lots of gory elements in your haunted attraction. Right? So that means, in the way that this works in the game, there are going to be 2 types of sort of feature types that you need to have in as many of your things as possible. And for every scene, you can score 1 point for each of those things, means up to 2 points per scene at the end of every round for every scene that contains those types of features in them, which is really, really cool, because that adds another little wrinkle to the game. Because now I just can't take the things that are scoring the most points, or take the things that match as best they can. Now I need to focus on sort of maximizing as much as possible the things that match my theme, because that's going to score 3 times in the game. And if I can keep getting more and more and more of them, that means those points are going to be compounding and compounding over the rounds as you play through the game. And then more importantly, the coolest twist of all, and probably my favorite part of the game in general, is this VIP guest. So you've got this VIP guest who's coming to your haunted attraction, and you want them to visit as many rooms as possible. But these VIPs are picky, and there are specific things that they're looking for in order to sort of enjoy the scenes in your attraction. So you need to make sure that the scenes do specific things to sort of fulfill the needs of this VIP visitor. And those are going to be things like having extra features in your scene that aren't required to score that scene card, or having doubles or more of a specific type of feature in a scene, or having lightning bolts in a scene, or a variety of different kinds of conditions. And for each scene, now moving left to right, this is where placement matters. Moving left to right, for every scene that matches this condition, the VIP will walk into that scene, scoring you 2 points. And this happens at the end of every round. But also I said left to right, which means if my first scene and then 4, 5, and 6 all match that thing, because scene 2 and 3 don't match, that means the VIP is going to get to that scene and stop rather than continuing through. So from the beginning, you need to make as many of these scenes match the VIP's condition as possible. Except it's not that easy because you're playing over 3 rounds, and each round a different VIP is coming to your haunted attraction, which means that each round you need to have a different condition met for that VIP to go through your different scenes. Which means from the beginning of the game, you see all 3 of these things. So now you're not just aiming to get one thing, you're aiming to get as many as 3 different conditions on top of the already sort of present conditions that you need to score normally. Now you've got 3 specific things that you need to hit in order to make sure each round the VIP will visit as many rooms as possible, so that you can multiply and sort of exponentially increase your score, because again, every round your thing's getting bigger, and if the VIP can hit every room every round, that's 2 points per scene per round, which can add up very, very, very quickly. So you've got this sort of set collection, minor set collection to score each scene. You've got this major set collection of the 4 different kind of special effects in each room. You've got this other sort of set collection conditional scoring differently for each of the 3 rounds for the VIPs. You've got this sort of focus on specific types of cards for the theming in your own room. Then you're scoring points if you're able to place out staff, and you've got this balance of how much staff do I need, how much staff can I spend, and so on. All of these little things going on together, none of it really feels overwhelming because it is still a pretty small, pretty quick playing card game, but it adds to this sort of gears on gears on gears kind of nested thinking that makes this game sort of elevated beyond the level of something like Sushi Go, and really does make for an interesting twist on a closed drafting card game. Because the game plays like any other drafting card game. I take cards, I pass. I take cards, I pass. Except now I'm drawing 2 cards instead of 1 every round, which does change things a little bit to some small degree. But more than that, this sort of nested level of how many different sort of conditions I need to get each of my things matching to score as many points per round as possible, and then also as many points per game as possible to maximize my efficiency. And I am really, really enjoying what I see in this, and it may end up being one of, if not my absolute favorite, of these small closed drafting card game types of games. So let's talk about the solo. The solo mode in this game is not really much of a solo mode, meaning you're not playing against an AI, there's not sort of special goals that you achieve. There's no real win-lose condition except that you need to score over 80 points. Now, I've played this game a handful of times, maybe 4 or 5 at this point, and I haven't lost the game yet. I've always scored over that 80 threshold. Now, it's always been very close, usually somewhere between 80 and 85, which means, yeah, I'm probably good at this kind of game because I have played many of these kinds of games before, but it does mean that the game feels a little bit easy. That said, it never feels like I can sort of just forget about what I'm doing and just play randomly to score that much. I need to be making smart decisions every time. And clearly, if my score is somewhere between 80 and 85, if I don't make a smart decision at some point, I won't win the game. So there definitely is the possibility for me to lose the game. But as long as I'm paying attention, I've won every time I've played this game. And that doesn't really bother me, like I said. I'm not sure that I would buy this game strictly for solo, but it does play very well solo. It does feel quite a bit like I imagine a multiplayer game would feel, even playing solo, because you even get that, while random, you get that comparison against the lightning symbols from that random card draw at the end of every round as well, to give you that sort of extra bonus. I forgot to talk about that scoring, but there's this also collecting the lightning bolt symbol while you're playing as well. So there is that, and it does feel quite a bit like multiplayer game, but again, it's not super challenging, though I guess I could change the cutoff to 85 or 90 and see if I can push myself even further. So realistically, that arbitrary number doesn't matter so much. What does matter is the puzzle is still a whole lot of fun, and like I said, to hit that score that I've been getting that is just over 80, I have been needing to think about everything that I do. And it's just that thinking, it's just that puzzle solving, it's just that sort of decision space is what makes this game as fun as it is. So even if it's simple, if it forces me to think about these things and play with these things and sort of try my best to hit all of these different conditions as best as possible, it still makes for a very fulfilling experience. So again, while I may not buy this strictly for solo, I'm very happy to get it to my table to play it solo. And if you are a fan of drafting games like this, and you would also get it played multiplayer, this one is definitely a strong recommend from me from this sort of small card drafting kind of game. I'm excited about this, and now that I've played this, I'm excited to also go try out Typeset, which is the sort of push your luck tile drawing spelling game from DVC Games as well. I do have a copy of that as well, and I will be testing out the solo mode, and absolutely will be bringing a video for that as well to the channel, so keep an eye out for that one if you might be interested. But that's basically all I have to say about this one. If you are a fan of drafting games like this, definitely check this one out. This is a sort of lesser known company and definitely one that should get some attention based on this game. So again, if you are interested in card drafting games, fun sort of quick playing card games, definitely give this one a try. As always, I do thank you for watching. I hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.